Yo guys, welcome back to Planet Coaster. Today, I am bringing back an ancient guest that has been buried deep underground. I took my shovel, I dug him out, and he is back for another episode 2 years later. Welcome back, TWD98.
Thank you for that introduction, Tyler. I cannot believe it has been 2 years. I'm literally
My mind
baffled.
is absolutely blown. It makes no sense. A whole entire pandemic, I guess, has happened since we recorded an episode of Planet Coaster together. But glad to have you back.
I am honored to be back on the series, building yet another roller coaster with you. And this time we had no limitations whatsoever. The first time we had a space that we had to fill out that was not too large, and we went for a family coaster. This time we had trillions of dollars and a massive volcano,
insane.
And we built the craziest roller coaster.
Well, what happened is the volcano one day, it literally just started erupting money out of nowhere.
Yes.
And so we saw that as the coaster gods telling us to build the most expensive coaster in the park yet.
And it was perfect timing during quarantine. No guests could even go to the park. The funds were limited, but the money volcano contributed in every single way.
Immensely. And so I had to bring back the coaster enthusiast and expert TWD to help make sure that this coaster met the expectations of all the people that come to this park.
Yes.
And this isn't necessarily the finale coaster, but it kind of is at the same time.
It's the last big one.
This is the last big one, pretty much. But I'm pretty excited because this one, we spent a lot of time building this.
This one spends half of the time underground. That's one of the main differences between a lot of the other rides in the park. And it has crazy G-force, multiple launches, top hat, a lot of inversions you won't see on any of the other coasters. But what's really fun is me and Tyler have been to plenty of theme parks together since last recording. When we last recorded, I think we'd only been to Knott's Berry Farm, and since then...
One theme park.
Yeah, since then, like Silver Dollar City, Kings Island,
Cedar Point,
and
Six Flags Magic Mountain.
Yeah, and maybe one more.
Is there any other? Have you been to like oh no, we rode the little like tiny ground coaster in Branson.
Oh yeah,
a mountain coaster.
Alpine coaster,
yeah.
Forgot about that. Let's go.
So our theme park synergy was much more built upon this time. A lot more history to work with.
Exactly, and it's been fun for me to get Tyler's opinions on all the parks and roller coasters that I grew up riding. And then also
vice versa. He went to Silver Dollar City
for
the first time, my childhood park. We actually took inspiration from the new coaster at Silver Dollar City called Time Traveler for the very start of this coaster. So at the very beginning, if you guys noticed, the coaster just like drops straight out of the station and just goes straight into the action. And that's how Time Traveler in Silver Dollar City started. And it's just the most exhilarating, most fun way to begin.
Yeah, Time Traveler even takes it a step further, because I've been on coasters like Helix in Sweden that actually has a drop at the beginning. Time Traveler has a twist in the spinning cars and a drop. If you're in the back, you get hurled over and you experience immense forces. This ride has a lot going on. We kind of were like, okay, like what are our favorite elements of roller coasters we've ridden? We want to incorporate like as many as we can into this ride, and some of them we did successfully, and a couple of them we had to abandon. But yeah, it was
this coaster was a doozy, that's for sure. And you mentioned earlier, this really is our first like coaster that's underground. Because my Zelda coaster does have a big underground section, but that's the second half. The fact that this one starts underground and is like almost like purely dedicated underground coaster, that excites me.
For sure. Should we talk briefly just about the different sections of the coaster? The first one is a lot more inspired with you because you wanted to make it more of a check out this awesome scenery underground, and that's how the coaster starts.
Yeah, so the beginning, the first section that's underground is going to have like a hellscape theme, more of like an Armageddon. So like abandoned underground city that is filled with fire and smoke, kind of like a sacrilegious vibe. I don't know, this sounds like really like demented and such, but I was thinking it's underground in a volcano.
Yes.
So I wanted to kind of put like more, and there's not really anything horror themed in this park yet. So I wanted to try to make it just a bit scarier down there.
Yeah, we don't even know what color we're gonna make the roller coaster yet.
It's coming up.
You know, lots of decisions to still make with the ride, but it is getting there. So after the initial section where you have the beautiful scenery, You're underground. There is a launch into a top hat, and that is where the coaster is finally above ground. And then
It
that
really
is just,
takes off at that point. It
Yeah.
starts going much faster.
That's just the beginning, because it has another launch and another massive underground section. But this second underground section is where the speed picks
Just
up.
hauls.
Yes, and there's some insanely large, over 100-foot, huge airtime hills. And then, what happens after that, Tyler?
Then it goes through an underground triple down, flips up, and then we launch up the mountain, as you see now, and it kind of flips up towards the top of the volcano. And now we're just gonna have a lot of quick-paced elements that just wrap around this volcano while you get a scenic view of the theme park.
Yeah, you got some 0G rolls, 0G stalls. We experimented with those, some outer bank turns. At the very end, it even goes right over where the guests are walking into the entrance of the volcano, and that gives it sort of like the guests get to see the ride before they ride it. And that's a very tame section of the ride, so it could be a bit misleading, but I think that would be fun because the coaster is absolutely insane.
We ended up changing the coaster a lot as we went, so we pretty much just started off with a framework to kind of get our ideas out there to make sure that everything would line up. And then once we got all that worked out, we went through and changed almost every element in the coaster just to make it more smoothed out and more fun to ride. Because to make the elements and like the loops and all of that kind of stuff, to make them really well done, it takes a lot more time to like smooth them out. So when you're just trying to like figure out the layout, you don't want to do that. So that's why it kind of seems messy at the beginning. We were just sort of doing the rough draft, but then later I go through and pretty much fix everything to make it much more pleasing.
Oh yeah, and this coaster is like 6,000 feet or something, which makes it one of the longest coasters in the world if it were, in our world. And another thing about it is it doesn't even have a chain lift, so it doesn't have any portion of that 6,000 feet that it's going slowly and just, getting built up for something. The whole thing is an adventure.
It truly is an adventure, and we're about to get a quick little look at the first rough draft of it. It's going to be going really fast in the ultra speed, but we can get an idea.
Yeah, it'll show off the layout, so everything we've been talking about, you can kind of get the visual to go along with it. See the inspiration,
Slows
close
down,
up.
and it launches, goes through the top hat.
We fix that top hat later.
Oh yeah, it's insane right now.
Yeah, lots of airtime underground. That's my favorite part of the ride, I think, because I love negative G-force. And yeah.
This was the first time riding it, and we just realized all the glaring mistakes. But we liked the layout from here, so.
Yeah. We did change that 0G rule. I think it like spins upside down, then reverses back in the same direction. We did switch that. And then the triple down or the quadra down, whatever that is, we changed that as well, just because it was a little too fast and too bumpy. And yeah, lots of slight improvements along the way.
I also want to give a comment question, because as you saw, I just made the track brown because the white was just a bit too glaring in my opinion. But this is something I haven't done in this series. I'm gonna let the comment section choose the color of this final coaster. So in the comment section below, let us know what you think the track color and train color for this final coaster will be.
And the supports, that's important as well.
And the supports, yeah. So there's track, supports, and train color. And I'll choose the best option and give him a shout out.
I must say, that gray color fits kind of perfect in a way because it blends in, but I guarantee your audience is gonna do something very dazzling.
Yeah, very dazzling. See, so here's like one change I made. I made the starting section underground a little bit longer, a bit more leisurely.
Yeah, you gotta give the guests some time to take in the amazing scenery that you're gonna provide them with. And you are someone who always puts an emphasis on scenery in your roller coaster designs,
Sometimes a bit too much, but
every single one of them has
Yeah.
scenery. It's not like going to Six Flags or Cedar Fair parks where the coasters have a sign and that's the theming. That's as far as the theming goes sometimes, just the sign with the name.
Well, you bring that up, but for me, I've never been to a theme park that has like big coasters but really good scenery before, because America doesn't really do that. Like Disneyland and Universal kind of.
They do in Busch Gardens, yeah. So like
do they?
SeaWorld as well, but that's only a handful of parks in the US, and Disney doesn't really make big roller coasters very often. So
I bring this up because you just went to Europe and you got to go to Europa Park.
yes. And for those of you who don't know Europa Park, it wins best theme park in the world every single year for over, I think, 5 years straight, with the Golden Ticket Awards, which is a very popular award system for theme parks. And this park is phenomenal because not only is it an amazing theme park, but it's also an amazing amusement park because it's got extremely thrilling rides combined with scenery that is Disney level. And like Tyler said, there's really not many parks in the US that compare to it, and Europa Park stands out because of that. So Europe in general is known for just having some of the best scenery of any parks in the world.
I mean, just even consider European architecture in comparison to American architecture. Like, they're just like way more cultured when it comes to just making things beautiful.
There's such a rich history with so many of the cities in Europe as well, and they've maintained the architecture and not just built a bunch of skyscrapers everywhere, which is kind of what happened with the rest of the world. So I'm really happy that most of the European cities do not have skyscrapers. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't think of skyscrapers in Europe.
Yeah, like the Russian cities do, like Moscow, and most of the ones in Western Europe like don't have any at all, which is really cool. And I'm thinking they're probably gonna try to keep it that way for as long as possible. So
that's probably like, skyscrapers are honestly very unnecessary, and in my opinion, it just kind of centralizes traffic and populations to too dense of a population density. I don't like that much population density. Unnecessary, really.
Yeah, it's exciting to visit these places and whatnot, but I am not someone who, personally would like to live in a skyscraper. I like to walk outside and just be on the ground.
Yeah. So at the end, we had to go through the little western town, the kind of ghost town that I created, and we put a dirty element right towards the end.
This is great. Because, the coaster's winding down at this point. It doesn't have much speed, and because, it goes right over the entrance of the volcano, you kind of wave to your friends and family who didn't want to ride the ride on the park benches, and then,
yeah, all of a sudden it just dips, like out of nowhere, just to scare you one last time before going to the station.
Yeah, and you're really not going to see it coming, and then if you're in the back, too, you're just going to get hurled over the top.
Oh, the whip.
Yes.
I truly have understood recently how important it is to ride in the back of a cart if you're wanting the most airtime and the most thrill.
Every coaster's different. For me personally, I like the back, unless it's a coaster with like a really good launch, like Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm. Then I actually like the front.
Or, in my opinion, inverted coasters are better in the front.
Yes.
Where you can see.
Exactly. Because those restraints are humongous.
Yeah, if you're in the back and the restraints are hanging in front of you, you can't see anything going on.
And I love to take off my shoes on those rides.
Yeah, you air out the toes. Give everybody like some show feet action.
You have an inverted coaster in this park, right?
We do.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, that's the Spider-Man
the huge one,
the very back in the city.
That one is crazy. I don't know what you were on when you made that. That's like the craziest one.
All the in the corners of the parks, I've been enjoying putting some bangers,
Yeah, because you're like, the park's already so huge, you don't want the guests to be walking anymore, so might as well fill the space putting something that is just astronomically huge in each corner.
Ooh, you using that word makes me think of something that I should probably talk about a little bit during this episode. So you said astronomical, and the first part of that word is astro. And the section...
Oh, no.
This area was originally supposed to be inspired by Astroworlds, the Travis Scott kind of concert venue that's supposed to be like wrapped in with a theme park. But there was very unfortunate timing to where I uploaded my video about Astroworld and using that as inspiration like 3 days before the tragic event happened in Texas at Travis's most recent event. And so because of that, I'm probably going to not call the section Astroworld anymore. I'm going to change the naming of it. But I'm still going to go with my kind of like psychedelic Wild West theme in general and just think of our own ways to describe it and name it, which is probably better in the first place. Yeah, very bad timing there. That literally is like the craziest timing ever. Because... I could have made that episode anytime within the past 4 years because that album came out like 4 years ago. And I ended up making it like 2 days before I could have learned that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the end of this episode is pretty much me starting the scenery for this coaster, which is going to be pretty time consuming.
Oh yeah, but it's gonna be worth every single second.
I got like some really cool custom scenery that has like a lot of ruins and just like pieces to make an old ancient looking civilization. And my building's a little bit sloppy, but eventually it all comes together because I'm just like trying to figure out how the scenery pieces come together. And then once I like start combining the fire and the lighting, that's when it really comes together.
You know what's funny? Whenever I watch your series, this exact Planet Coaster series, the architectural building is what fascinates me the most. Because watching a roller coaster be built is not as cool as watching buildings be built. So like roller coasters are great to watch once they're completed, see the finished product, how it rides with the scenery intact and all that. But like watching this getting built right here fascinates me, because whenever I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, like roller coaster building, I spent 99% of my time doing. And then the scenery, just like Six Flags.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, with Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, if that's the last game you've decorated things in,
yeah,
you couldn't even go off a 90-degree grid in that game.
At least I had Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Platinum, so I had the Wild and the Soaked expansion pack. I love the lighting kit used on this ruin section. It really makes
it pop.
Yeah, it just
the scenery pieces didn't look that great, but then I realized when I backlit it, it made it more like kind of shadow based. They looked a lot cooler and more mysterious, and just made you like wonder where the hell you were.
Is this track or this coaster, is it gonna have like music as well that plays while the people are launching? Because I feel like it's the perfect coaster to have music.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a bunch of just like psychedelic trap music blasting. So pretty much like the instrumentals you would hear on like new Travis Scott records. And it's gonna be like a psychedelic hip hop themed area.
Wow. This is awesome. And for me, I've barely got to see this, so I'm kind of getting to experience this for the first time with you guys at home. While Tyler, you know, the hours and hours building this brick by brick, wall by wall.
It's and then I'm not
tedious.
I'm not in love with the way that I started the scenery here, but like sometimes you just gotta throw a lot of paint on the canvas.
I think it's awesome.
You throw the paint on the canvas and then you look at it and then you come back later and you tweak, and then you love it a lot more. But I stacked a lot of scenery in here. Like I just kept on adding because I wasn't happy with it. I just wanted it to look really I wanted to make it have like a cool thumbnail or something. I don't know.
Oh, you succeeded. This is great.
Muy importante. But yeah, I'm so happy that you got to join me on building another coaster in the park before the park was truly filled up.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we got to add a lot of new elements that are not in any of your previous roller coasters, and just, build one more banger. So it's great because I'm excited to see what the POV looks like once the scenery is complete. Once the ride's been smoothed out a little bit, because right now it's got a few rough around the edges portions, but I have a lot of faith this coaster's gonna turn out how we want it after. How many hours did we spend on this?
I mean, with the scenery, this one episode is about 9 hours of work.
Yeah.
So, like, I would say for one episode, we got a lot done here. Like, this wasn't here. One episode later, it's like the biggest coaster in the park. It's pretty awesome.
I was really enjoying it too, because you have a much better idea now of like things that you like in coasters, forces you enjoy.
Very
because
true.
you've gotten to ride so many new roller coasters in the last 2 years since we last recorded. So for you, you're coming up with ideas as well, every single element along the way, thinking of ways to make it better. And yeah, that was a lot of fun because we had two brains working on the whole thing, and it allowed for more creativity than usual, especially compared to the first coaster, where it was probably like 3,000 to 4,000 feet of track as opposed to 6,000.
Yeah, now I always like wonder, like if I started a new Ultimate Theme Park with all the information I know after doing this series, how much better it could potentially be. I wouldn't do that until a Planet Coaster 2 came out. But if we ever get Planet Coaster 2, I think I might take everything I've learned because I learned so much through creating this theme park. It's insane.
Yeah, if you wanted to make like your coasters realistic, you can do a much better job now with all the knowledge you have. But when it comes to scenery, like, I can't imagine it being much better. But yeah. I'm sure you have more ideas. I'm just not a scenery person.
The scenery, literally, I mean, I watch a lot of Planet Coaster videos, so I do know where the skill cap is, and it could technically be way, way better.
Wow.
I do know that there is
Custom
still
scenery.
a lot of room for growth. Even with the scenery in game, like there's people who do insane stuff.
But the thing is like doing an entire park is so hard because you have to have a really powerful computer, and it's amazing that this program's even able to run with how big the park is. If you wanted to add the scenery that they add on every single one of your rides, including the park being just ridiculously huge, then I don't even know how big.
Although in real theme parks, they don't really do that. They just they have like big open lots and stuff.
You know what?
But
Disney does a really good job of immersing you in the experience.
Okay,
I know
yeah.
that when you're in the park, no matter where you look, you can't really see any spot that was not cared for, as opposed to sometimes you're at other parks and you're like, okay, they have not put any effort into this section of the park in a decade.
yeah, that's fair. My favorite area in Disneyland is the Cars section.
Yeah,
I think
Radiator
just the big
Springs.
canyon looks so good.
Oh my gosh, it's huge. They killed it.
Normally you don't see a skyline of like some sort of geographic.
The rock formation.
Yeah, just rock formations like mountains
the
in a theme
canyon.
park. Unless you're a Magic Mountain, that's different, but
That's true.
that's very natural.
And then
Not
Disney
man-made.
World. Disney World has the James Cameron's Avatar section. Animal Kingdom,
is
I think, is
insane.
the portion of Disney World it's in. And yeah, that is probably my favorite part of Disney World. And then, you know, if we go to Disney Sea in Japan, there's multiple sections that are just next level. Probably the most beautiful of the Disney parks.
Can't wait to go. Well, whenever we get you on one of the bonus episodes in 2 years from now, hopefully we'll have
Yes.
all those new theme parks under the belt.
Yes, absolutely.
But yo, thank you for joining me on here. It's good to have another mind join the theme park every once in a while.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be part of the series again, and this was super fun. I cannot wait to see the completed project.
Same. All right, guys, go check out Troy's channel. He makes Mario Kart videos. He does a great job with it. Always posting very unique content, including custom tracks. If you guys like things like built from scratch, like custom Mario Kart content isn't much different from Planet Coaster content. Oh yeah, it is.
Baby
but-
Park has a roller coaster on it.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Baby Park, I built the Baby Park Mario Kart.
I
track
love
in
that.
Yeah.
That looks so good.
Yeah. That was a fun little Easter egg to throw in there. Felt necessary almost because I had the space for it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.